I was cutting into a piece of roast chicken when my sister-in-law suddenly stood up and announced she was pregnant with my child. My name is Mark Harrison, a high school history teacher who had been married to my wife Emily for 6 years. That evening we were sitting around the large dining table at her parents' house for the usual Sunday family dinner. The same people were there as always: Emily's mother, her father, her younger sister Chloe, and Chloe's boyfriend Ryan. The room smelled of roasted chicken, garlic bread, and fresh salad. Everyone had been talking and laughing just moments earlier. Then Chloe suddenly pushed her chair back and stood up. Her hands were trembling. At first I thought she was about to make some kind of announcement about school or work. But then she pointed straight at me. "Tell them," she said, her voice shaking. "Tell them what you did." The room went quiet. I slowly placed my fork on the plate and frowned. "What are you talking about?" Chloe took a deep breath, as if she had been holding something inside for a long time. "I'm 12 weeks pregnant," she said softly. Emily blinked in confusion. "That's great news," she said carefully. "But why are you?" Chloe interrupted her. "And the baby is his." She pointed at me again. For a moment I honestly thought I had misheard her. The entire room froze. Emily's face lost all its color. "What?" she whispered. Chloe wiped tears from her eyes, shaking her head as if she didn't want to speak but had no choice. "I didn't want to say anything," she said. "But I can't keep lying anymore." Her mother stood up immediately and walked toward her. "Chloe, sweetheart, what are you saying?" Chloe looked straight at me. "It happened in July. At the lake house," she said. Everyone else was asleep. "He came into my room." My heart started pounding in my chest. "That never happened," I said firmly. "You're lying." Chloe suddenly burst into tears. Loud, dramatic sobs filled the dining room. Her mother rushed forward and wrapped her arms around her. Emily slowly turned toward me. Her eyes were wide with fear and disbelief. "Mark, tell me she's lying." "She is lying," I said immediately. "I swear I never touched her." But Chloe kept crying. "He's been texting me for months," she said between sobs. "Telling me to keep quiet, threatening me." "I don't even have your number," I said. Emily's father suddenly slammed his hand on the table and stood up. His expression was full of anger. "Get out of my house," he said coldly. I turned to Emily desperately. "Emily, you know me. You know I would never," but she wouldn't even look at me. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Just go." And in that moment, my entire life started falling apart. I met Emily 7 years ago in a small bookstore downtown. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon, and the place smelled like old paper and fresh coffee. I had been browsing the education section, looking for new material for my history classes, when I noticed her standing in the poetry aisle. She was flipping through a small book of poems, completely absorbed. For some reason, I made a comment about the author she was reading. She looked up, smiled, and we started talking. That conversation lasted nearly 3 hours. We moved from books to coffee, then from coffee to talking about our lives. Emily worked at a small marketing company, and she loved literature, music, and traveling. There was something warm and genuine about her that made me feel comfortable instantly. After that day, we started seeing each other regularly. Within a year, we were inseparable. Emily had always told me that her family was very close. They believed in spending time together, supporting each other, and keeping traditions alive. Every Sunday evening, the entire family gathered at her parents' house for dinner. When I first met them, they were polite and welcoming. Emily's mother asked me dozens of questions about my job and my family. Her father was a quieter man, but he seemed friendly enough once we started talking about sports. And then there was Chloe, Emily's younger sister. She had been 19 when we first met. Chloe was studying nursing at the time and seemed shy compared to Emily. Most of the time she kept to herself during family dinners, occasionally joining conversations but usually staying quiet. Over the years we all grew comfortable around each other. There was never any awkwardness between Chloe and me. Nothing strange. Nothing inappropriate. Which was why the accusation she made at dinner felt completely insane. Last July, the entire family had taken a short trip to Emily's parents' lake house. It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend away from the city. The weather had been perfect, warm days, cool evenings, and calm water stretching across the lake. We spent most of the time grilling food outside, swimming, and playing card games late into the night. Chloe had been there with her boyfriend Ryan, who she had been dating for a few months. Everything had seemed completely normal. I remembered going to bed early both nights because I needed to prepare some material for a summer history class I was teaching. Nothing unusual had happened. No secret conversations. No late-night visits. Nothing even close to what Chloe was now accusing me of. Yet somehow, in a single moment during that Sunday dinner, my entire reputation, and my marriage, had been destroyed. And now I was sitting alone in a cheap motel room, wondering how everything had gone so wrong. That night in the motel, I barely slept. The small room was quiet except for the occasional sound of cars passing on the highway outside. The dim yellow light above the desk flickered slightly as I sat there staring at my phone. My mind kept replaying the scene from dinner over and over again. Chloe standing up. Pointing at me. Accusing me. None of it made sense. I knew I had done nothing wrong, but the problem was that knowing the truth and proving it were two completely different things. If I wanted to clear my name, I needed evidence. So I opened my laptop and began going through everything I could find. First, I checked my phone records. Every text message I had ever sent. Every call I had made. Every contact saved in my phone. There was nothing connecting me to Chloe. Not a single message. Not one phone call. I didn't even have her number saved. Next, I opened my Google location history. My phone automatically tracked where I went, and if Chloe's story was true, there should have been some evidence of it. I scrolled back to July. The weekend we spent at the lake house. The map showed my movements for those 2 days. Most of the time, my phone stayed inside the main house. There were only 2 moments when I left. Once when I walked down to the dock to watch the sunset. And once when I drove to the grocery store with Emily to buy more drinks and snacks. That was it. I zoomed in carefully on the map. Chloe's bedroom had been in the guest cabin about 50 yards away from the main house. But according to the data, my phone had never gone near it. Not once. I quickly took screenshots of everything and saved them in a folder. It wasn't perfect proof, but it was something. Then another thought crossed my mind. Ryan. Chloe's boyfriend. At dinner he had been sitting right next to her the entire time. But when she accused me, he didn't say a single word. He didn't defend her. He didn't question her. He just sat there quietly, staring down at the table. That seemed strange. If your girlfriend just admitted she had slept with another man, wouldn't you react somehow? Anger. Shock. Anything. But Ryan had looked almost calm. That feeling made me uneasy. So I opened my browser and searched for his social media profile. It didn't take long to find it. Ryan Carter. 22 years old. Worked at a local car dealership. His profile picture showed him smiling next to Chloe. And when I opened his page, the first thing I saw made my stomach tighten. 2 days earlier, he had posted a photo of the two of them at a restaurant. Both of them were smiling. His arm wrapped around her shoulders. It didn't look like the relationship of a couple dealing with a betrayal. It looked like everything was perfectly normal. I continued scrolling through Ryan's social media profile, looking for anything unusual. At first everything seemed normal: photos with friends, pictures from work at the car dealership, and several posts with Chloe smiling beside him. If Chloe's story was true, Ryan should have been furious. Any boyfriend would have been. But there was no sign of anger, no emotional posts, no breakup announcement. Instead, their relationship looked completely fine. That was the first thing that made me suspicious. Then I noticed a post from early August, about 2 weeks after our trip to the lake house. The caption read, "Big changes, coming soon. Excited for the future." Chloe was tagged in the post. The comments section was full of heart emojis and congratulations from their friends. One comment caught my attention. A friend asked, "Are you two getting engaged?" Ryan replied with a laughing emoji. Then Chloe responded underneath, "Not yet, but something even better." I stared at that comment for a long moment. Something better than an engagement. That didn't make sense. Unless. My thoughts were interrupted when my phone suddenly buzzed on the desk. A text message appeared on the screen. The number was unknown. I opened it. "Stop digging. This is your only warning." My stomach tightened. Someone knew I was looking into this. But how? I quickly took a screenshot of the message and saved it. For a moment, I considered ignoring it. Maybe it was just a random prank. But something about the timing felt too perfect. Someone was clearly nervous about what I might discover. And that meant one thing. I was getting close to the truth. The next morning I decided I needed professional help. This situation was already destroying my reputation, and if it got worse, it could cost me my job and my marriage. So I searched online for a lawyer who specialized in family law and defamation cases. After making a few calls, I scheduled a meeting with an attorney named Daniel Brooks. His office was located in a small building downtown. When I arrived, he greeted me calmly and invited me to sit down. I explained everything. The accusation. The dinner. The motel. The evidence I had gathered so far. He listened carefully without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and folded his hands. "First," he said, "you did the right thing by collecting evidence." I nodded nervously. "Second," he continued, "what you have so far is defensive proof. It helps show you didn't do it." I frowned. "But that's not enough," he added. "What we really need is proof that she's lying." I swallowed. "And how do we get that?" I asked. Daniel gave a small, confident smile. "That," he said, "is what I'm going to help you find." Over the next few days, Daniel Brooks began investigating the situation carefully. While I stayed in the motel trying to keep my life from completely falling apart, he worked quietly behind the scenes. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Daniel. "Mark," he said, "I think I found something interesting." My heart started racing. "What is it?" Chloe filed an application for state pregnancy assistance 2 weeks before that dinner. I sat up straight on the motel bed. 2 weeks before. "Yes," he confirmed. That means she already knew she was pregnant before accusing you. That still doesn't prove she's lying, I said. No, Daniel replied. But the application includes something very important. What? The form asks for the father's information. I held my breath. And what did she write? I asked. Daniel paused for a moment. She listed the father as unknown. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. Unknown. Not my name. Not anyone's name. Which meant that when she first filed the paperwork, she had no intention of blaming me. Something must have changed later. Why would she suddenly accuse me then? I asked. That's exactly what we need to figure out, Daniel said. Before I could respond, another unexpected event happened the very next morning. I received a phone call from a hospital. The number appeared unfamiliar on my screen. Hello. I answered cautiously. Hello, is this Mark Harrison? A calm female voice asked. Yes. My name is Dr. Melissa Grant. I'm calling from Riverside Medical Center. My heart started beating faster again. Why are you calling me? I asked. There was a short pause. We need you to come to the hospital today, she said. There's something important we need to discuss regarding Chloe's pregnancy. My confusion grew. I don't understand. Why would the hospital contact me? Dr. Grant's voice remained professional. Because Miss Chloe Parker listed you as the father of the child in her medical records. I rubbed my forehead in frustration. That's a lie, I said. We are aware there may be a dispute, she replied calmly. That is why we would like you to come in person. Is this about a paternity test? I asked. In a way, yes, she said. Please come today if possible. It's very important. After the call ended, I sat quietly for a long moment. My entire future seemed to depend on whatever was about to happen next. If the hospital had evidence, this nightmare could finally end. Or it could get even worse. I arrived at Riverside Medical Center later that afternoon. The hospital lobby was bright and busy, filled with people walking quickly through the halls. Nurses pushed carts past the reception desk while patients waited quietly in rows of chairs. I felt completely out of place. After checking in at the front desk, I was directed to a small consultation room on the second floor. A few minutes later, Dr. Melissa Grant walked in. She looked calm and professional, carrying a thin folder in her hands. Mr. Harrison, she said politely as she sat down across from me. Thank you for coming. I just want to understand why I'm here, I said. She nodded. That's completely fair. She opened the folder and looked down at a few documents before continuing. As you probably know, Chloe listed you as the father of her unborn child in her medical records. I'm aware, I said. But it isn't true. Dr. Grant looked back up at me. That's actually why we contacted you. I frowned. What do you mean? Well, she explained, during Chloe's recent examination we ran several routine tests. One of those tests involved determining the baby's blood type. I leaned forward slightly. And Dr. Grant spoke calmly, as if she had delivered this kind of news many times before. Chloe's blood type is O positive. Okay. We checked your medical record as well. Your blood type is listed as AB negative. I nodded slowly, not yet understanding where she was going with this. Dr. Grant folded her hands on the table. The fetus has B positive blood. I stared at her in confusion. I'm not a doctor, I said. What does that mean? She gave a small, reassuring smile. It means something very important. She paused briefly before continuing. With Chloe's blood type and yours, it is genetically impossible for you to be the father. For a moment I thought I had misheard her. Impossible, I repeated. Yes, she confirmed. The combination of blood types simply does not allow it. A strange mix of relief and anger rushed through me at the same time. All the stress, the accusations, the humiliation. And now there was clear scientific evidence proving I was innocent. Does Chloe know this? I asked. Dr. Grant nodded. Yes. We explained it to her this morning. And what did she say? Dr. Grant hesitated for a moment. She became very upset. That answer didn't surprise me. Because if the truth was finally starting to come out, her lie was about to collapse. And when it did, everyone who had turned against me would finally learn what really happened. The silence in the room was suffocating. Adrian sat on the edge of the bed, his hands trembling as he stared at the floor. Across from him, Layla clutched the small box she had brought earlier, the one that held the truth he had been avoiding for months. I didn't want to tell you like this, she whispered, her voice barely audible. But you deserve to know. Adrian's chest tightened. Every memory of the past few weeks, the arguments, the nights spent pacing the apartment, the sense that something was always hidden, rushed back to him like a storm. Just tell me, he said, his voice hoarse. No more games. Layla took a deep breath and placed the box on the table. Slowly, she opened it. Inside was a set of old letters and photographs, carefully preserved. Each one bore Adrian's handwriting, yet the dates were older than he could remember. His eyes widened as he picked up the first letter. It was a confession, one he had written years ago, during a period he could barely recall. In it, he had admitted to mistakes, betrayals, and decisions that had hurt those closest to him. I remember fragments, Adrian muttered, turning the pages with trembling hands. But I don't remember doing this. Layla nodded, tears forming in her eyes. Some things get buried so deep that we forget. But they don't disappear. They shape us, whether we realize it or not. I found these while cleaning the old apartment. I thought, maybe confronting them could finally free you. Adrian sank back, overwhelmed. Every truth, every lie he had unknowingly lived with, converged in that room. And yet, amid the chaos of guilt and confusion, a sense of clarity began to emerge. He realized that holding on to the past had kept him from moving forward, from forgiving himself, and from rebuilding the connections he had almost lost forever. Layla reached out, her hand resting gently on his. It's not too late, Adrian. You can choose what comes next. He looked at her, his eyes reflecting both regret and hope. For the first time in months, he felt a spark of peace. The weight of secrets was heavy, but together, they could begin to lift it. Adrian took a deep breath and nodded, a quiet resolve forming in his heart. The past would always be a part of him, but it no longer had to define his future.